ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? You know that song, you know what it means. It means it's the weekend and it's time for the James Freel Show. I am your host, James Freel, and as always, I am very happy to have you with me. This show's gonna be a crap show. As you can tell, if there are any regular listeners out there, which there aren't, let's be honest, you're just going to be listening back to this in about maybe 10-15 years to see what was going on then. But anyway, this one's going up late. Like, probably the latest I've ever done it. Yeah, it's really going to suck. The reason why this show is going to suck is I am getting relatively sick. And I don't think I've been sick since I started this. I don't know, maybe sometime in the first series of doing it, I might have been a little bit sick. But I digress. I guess the benefit of doing this show... Yeah, I'm using not the bootleg, but that different microphone. The one that's like a snowball. You don't have a whole interface set up to it. I can just sort of sit here and ramble away, and it doesn't really matter. I kind of like the vintage sound to it. And now I can move the arm up and down to be wherever is most comfortable. And y'all can't really hear it because it's a condenser mic from what I understand. But I digress. I'm already starting to ramble. Why don't we get to news for the uninformed? So today is Saturday, February 9th, 2019. I should have been doing this yesterday, but hey, you win some, you lose some. Coke launches new flavor to keep customers from leaving it behind. Well, that's interesting. What do we got going here? The new drink will hit shelves later this month. It's a way to encourage customers who are seeking more variety to stick with Coke rather than pick up a different soda, says Kate Carpenter, brand director for Coca-Cola, which includes Coke, Coke Zero, and flavored Coke. The beverage company decided to add and revamp its flavor offerings: Cherry Coke Zero, Vanilla Coke Zero. Yeah, I've always been a Coke guy over Pepsi, and I try not to drink too much soda. And I've come to realize that a lot of people we say we don't drink soda, but we don't realize how much we do. In all honesty, I don't think I drink an excessive amount. Like during the week, first off, I never get it when I go to restaurants simply because I'm cheap. But I'll admit there are times where I'll crave something carbonated. Alright, moving on in sports. It was the New England Patriots over the Los Angeles Rams in Super Bowl 53 with a score of 13-3. New England Patriots have secured their 6th Super Bowl title and now tie the Pittsburgh Steelers for most Super Bowl titles with a record of 6. That's interesting. I was very happy to see that happen. You all know, if you're a regular listener, that I am not a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So seeing them go down was quite an enjoyable... I mean, they weren't really going down, but now that they can no longer say, we're king of the hill, we're top of everything, you got nothing on us. And yeah, I'll be cheering for the... If the Patriots win next year, I'll be cheering for them, but after they get 7... then I think I'll go back to being like, oh, why don't you guys give someone else a chance? That whole mentality. Is there something playing? Hold on. Let me put on these headphones again. Yes, there is. Hopefully no one is hearing that. Alright, now I gotta find a pop story to talk about. Top news, pop culture. One of these days I swear I'm gonna go back to printing these things out. Alright, what do we got here? No, that's no good. So, Lindsey Buckingham suffers vocal cord damage after emergency surgery. Mandy Moore says This Is Us gives us a chance to process our feelings. Roma explored 1970s Mexico. Here's how issues in the film have played out. From what I heard, I think the nominees for Best Picture came out, but I think that might have been a while ago. So, tough to say. I don't know, those 3 headlines that I read off are just gonna have to do for Best Picture. Excuse me. Yeah. I got that thing going on where you're not really sick, per se. You just throat's a little scratch. It's not even scratchy, I would say. It's like there's a gap there, and it's really annoying. And when you breathe without enough hydration, because a bunch of drainage has been there. I don't know. Do you really want to listen to me talk about that? I mean, you've already wasted, if you've made it this far from the beginning, 6 minutes and 20 seconds of your life listening to some loser talk. I guess you might as well. So listening to them talk about the different types of sicknesses when you're not feeling the best, that's not much of a difference. So they say. So no one says, you just say it. So, yes, ranting about sports now. I already hinted at it and spoke a little bit about it earlier, but I was extremely pleased to see the New England Patriots secure their 6th title. And I really went through a lot of different phases with the Patriots. One of the earliest Super Bowls that I remember was the New England Patriots versus the Panthers. If I'm not mistaken, that was the 3rd in their dynasty. And it's kind of funny how there was that 10-year gap in between. It's like they did amazing. It's like they had 2 dynasties split up by a decade. It's like, what happened there? They just kept having hiccups. You win some, you lose some. Speaking of being happy about the Steelers winning, I remember back in, I believe it must have been 2009. Either that or 2000. I think it was 2009. It was whatever year that the Bengals swept the AFC North. And Jesus Christ, that would have been it would have been 2000. I'm going to look this up, but I'm going to keep talking about the story while I look up the seasons for it. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I'm in the Cincinnati area. I think, hold on, I'm going to hit the pause button really quick. Sorry, this is why I shouldn't hit the pause button, because I forget what I was talking about. But anyway, back in that day, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned before that Cincinnati has some of the worst fans ever. And there's a ton of Steeler fans in the area. And a lot of them hide behind the excuse that a lot of them are Miami Redhawks fans. They used to be the Miami Redskins. Never mind. There's the PDF looks. Anyway, Ben Roethlisberger played for that team, and then he got drafted, and he was like a retired number. Alright, sorry, I'm back. I remember I got sidetracked by something. If I remember correctly, I was talking about the year where the Bengals swept the AFC North. Yeah, I got a story about that. I'm pretty sure I already mentioned, we've got a lot of Steelers fans. And it kind of annoys me how they use the excuse of Ben Roethlisberger having played in, having played in the Miami, jeez, I'm a jackass from talking about this. Let's see, they beat all those, Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Ravens. Yeah, okay, so it would have been the 2009-2010 season, and we swept the Steelers this year, and I believe that year they wound up, that's the year the Steelers wound up. No, it wouldn't have been that year, it would have been the year before. Jeez, but I had a friend who, he was one of those fans who, I guess I can respect being a Miami fan and a Steeler fan more than I can respect someone who's an Ohio State fan and a Steeler fan, because then it's like, to me, you're just picking the winners, and that kind of annoys me. But I had made a bet with this guy who was a Steeler fan, and it basically was, had the Bengals beat the Steelers, he would have to wear a Bengals jersey for a day, and everyone knew he was a Steelers fan. He would always talk trash to everyone, and I agreed that if the Steelers beat the Bengals, I would wear a Steeler jersey all day. And that might have been the first season that I recall where the Bengals, let's see, they swept them that year, and then the 2008-2009 would have been my freshman year. Yeah, that year they got clobbered by everyone. They started the season 0-8, then they went 1-8, 1-8-1, 1-9, 1-10, 1-11, and then they won out, so they were 4-11-1, which was really stupid, because it's like, you know, it's, you're just killing your draft spot. And the year before that, pretty sure I paid attention to them in 2007, or would that have been the first year that that's the season they ended up going 7-9. This must be super interesting to people not listening. Yeah, that season's kind of a blur to me. Did we beat the Steelers that year at all? We lost them there. And we got swept by them then. We got them swept. So yeah, that must have been the first. The point I was trying to make is just say that was the first season that I watched them, and they actually beat them. Just trying to look at the previous year. Jeez, why doesn't this... Yeah, and because the year before that... Oh, well, I wasn't watching at that point. I'm sorry, this is, like I said, I already... You know, I don't feel bad because I told you all this game would... I told you that this, thing would suck, hadn't you? I guess I probably did watch the 28-21, but I have very little memory of it. So, do with that information what you will. I got CBS on in the background because apparently a new football league is starting up. Maybe it was earlier today, maybe it's going to be tonight, I don't know. But I've got it on just in case. I love local television. There's something about it that makes you feel connected. And that goes the same for libraries and newspapers, local newspapers. I've been reading a lot more of those lately, and it just makes me feel pretty connected to my local community. So, you know, do with that information what you will. I mean, who knows, I'm just the moron here pontificating about my life and putting it out onto the godforsaken place that is the internet. Yeah, real smart thinking there, James. Real smart thinking. So, I'll go ahead and... yeah, I'll move on to that. So last Friday, my family decided to take me out to celebrate, for a celebratory dinner, to celebrate the new job I believe I talked about last week, and I start not tomorrow but the day after, because it is a Saturday. And the evening was just a total mess. And looking back, it's something that me and my lady are going to laugh about for years to come. But the whole night itself was an absolute... It was worse than this podcast. I got stressed because I don't like being the center of attention. That's just my personality. That's how I've always been. I don't like it. It is what it is, though. And I finally decided to loosen up. I took my jacket off. My mother wanted me to do that. And I was just such on edge. And I'm like, no, I'm not taking it off. I'm keeping it on. I'm fine. So finally I decide I'm gonna take it off. Just make the evening. And my lady looks over at me and says, that's gonna mean so much. And so it's like, you know what? I'm gonna give this a chance. I'm gonna try to just get through this evening. And for about 2 or 3 minutes, the evening is going pretty well. A bunch of these appetizers are ordered. A bottle of champagne, and I decided to go with a New York strip. And even after as bad as the evening went, it was still the best steak I ever had. It was twice as good as the most expensive steak I've ever had, and about half the cost. And I think that might be because I am not a steak connoisseur. I just think they taste good. And this one, it was basted. They probably had some rosemary with butter and everything. It was just fantastic. So the evening's finally, it's going a little better. And my father breaks a champagne glass, and it breaks glass all over the appetizer he ordered. And I'm just like, damn. We were going well for a while, and now this happens. And it wasn't the end of the world. Here's where the night really got crazy. So at this point, I'm a cocktail and a glass of champagne into the night. So I'm feeling a little, I'm feeling a little, just emotional, combined with not liking being the center of attention and all that. The busboy brings out the new appetizer meal, and I am not exaggerating in the slightest. He sets it down and goes, "All right, let's try to be a little more careful this time," with that really smug, let's try to be a little more careful this time. And my parents are oblivious to it. But my lady and I look at each other like, did he just say that? And maybe it's not as big a deal as I meant, but we were really embarrassed by the fact that we'd already embarrassed ourselves by spilling a champagne glass. All of our faces were red. My father's acting like an insane person, and to have this guy come up and just be like, let's try to be a little more careful this time. Yeah, could you all just... And this guy's... I'm a really scrawny, sickly-looking guy. But this guy was sicklier. And it really rubbed me the wrong way that he's coming up to me going, let's try to be a little more careful this time. And that's just ringing in my head, and I am furious. And, like I said, my woman was the real MVP this night because she held everything together. And she takes me outside, and I'm a wreck. I'm furious at that. That was just not okay. And it occurs to me, it's like, I'm a guest in this establishment. I've never been one to be the whole, let me see your manager kind of person. And I didn't have to that night. I didn't have to be that kind of person. That always sort of annoyed me when people go over people's heads. Why don't you just deal with the person right there? God, that's another story. But, anyway, I look for him. I tell my lady, I'm gonna go find him, and I'm just gonna tell him he needs to go apologize to my dad for that. Because it's the combination of my dad was really embarrassing me that night, but in my head I felt like, okay, I'm the only one who's embarrassed right now. No one's actually thinking he's being a crazy person. But then for this dude to come by and say, let's try to be a little more careful this time, to him, that like validated. And it just got my emotions high, so I look around and I think, alright, I think that's the guy. And point to my lady, and I'm like, do you think that's it? And she goes, yeah. So I follow him over to the bar, tap him on the shoulder, and just to keep myself from embarrassing myself, I ask him, were you the guy who just brought the tray out to my table? And he goes, yeah. And I say, that comment you just made, that was not cool. You're gonna go apologize to my dad right now. And he said, what comment? And I said, well, you came over, you set it down, and you said, let's try to be a little more careful this time. And we were already, and this is me still talking, I tell him we were already embarrassed enough as it is that we had dropped it. You saying that made us feel extremely uncomfortable. You're gonna go apologize to my dad right now. And he touches me on my shoulder and goes like, oh, hun, I'm sorry. I thought that we had dropped it. I didn't realize that you had. That was a I'm like, okay, well, go apologize. And, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't buy his story. I think, all in honesty, I think he wasn't thinking very clearly. And I think that he made a joke that he thought we could laugh at ourselves, and he took a risk, and I think he might have slightly been annoyed with the fact that we had spilled something, I don't know. But, you know, here's the thing, I'm sure the guy is pretty cool. There was a perfect storm of a bunch of crap hitting the fan, and I couldn't let that comment go. And even now, a week later, I don't regret doing it. Maybe in a year I will, maybe, but I don't know. I was pretty livid. If I sound like a crazy man who can't let crap go ahead and tell me. I'm man enough. I can take it. I can take it. There's this player for the Cincinnati Bengals who made his Instagram story. Well, for better context, though, his name's Jeremy Hill. And if you are a Bengals fan, you can call back to the time that a certain running back, I can't remember his name, I think his initials might have been JH, no coincidence, fumbled a football when a team was simply trying to put a game away. And Jeremy Hill, forget the joke, that was him, he was the one who did it. And he was injured all year. He didn't play a single snap for the New England Patriots, but he got a ring. And basically he's bragging. Apparently for the past couple of years, it's been 3 years now, a lot of people still give him crap for fumbling that pass, which, I mean, you gotta live with it. You did do it. And it is the worst podcast ever. He basically had he made the insinuation that he tweeted out, "It feels so good to be a champion." And it's like, dude, you didn't play a snap all year. So when you say something like that, I mean, people are going to call you out. And so he wound up making his Instagram story, "Can you imagine life as a Bengals fan?" followed by like 24 of the laughing so hard you're crying emojis. And here's the thing. I feel like a lot of Bengals fans, I feel like there was definitely a portion of us who, and I'm describing myself, who always felt like that playoff loss wasn't really his fault. I mean, he started it, but Vontez and Adam Pac-Man Jones finished it. And had they just done their job, not lost their cool, that game would have been won. And at the same time, none of that would have happened if Jeremy Hill would have just held on to the dang ball. To me, I sound like I got my mother over my shoulder. Make sure to say dang, not damn. You know, and it's just like, here's the funny thing. He sort of, because he said, like, I'm gonna talk back. I finally said something. And now all of a sudden, all these fans who had never said anything about it, like, really put the blame on Pac-Man and Vontez. All of a sudden, he rubbed them the wrong way, and now we're all, like, saying, no, what, did you fumble your ring? You're gonna hand it over and fumble it. At the end of the day, you know, what is what is. That's not even a sentence. But I don't know, man. I just don't know. That really upset me. And when I heard that he had signed with the Patriots, I thought, great, let him go get a ring. I hope he gets one. For him to diss an entire fan base based on like a minority of people constantly reminding him that he fumbled. And now it's like, dude, you've cemented your legacy now. I don't know, but he makes the point because he is human. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I went to the mall yesterday and spent $300 on new outfits because I want to look good for my new job. I got some new shoes, new pants, new shirts, and Jesus Christ, polo shirts are not cheap. Luckily, my lady was there to talk me out of going with these $13 polos. I wound up going with these nicer brands, ones that hopefully won't fade as quickly, but jeez. Got pants, they were $80 each, buy one get one half off. Shirts, buy one get one half off, $50 each. Shoes that were $125, but if you spent $130, you got 30% off. So I also got a belt that I got $10 off, because you get $10 off a belt when you buy them with a pair of shoes. I don't know how business works, but they definitely, it's weird, they incentivized me to take more of their product by spending less. Do they just need to get it off the shelves or something? I don't know, but it's probably going to be the store I go to from now on for shoes, is Clark's. I got to be willing to drop some decent money. I'm worried about these shoes not being professional enough, but if they are, I can always go back and return them. Yeah, we're in the home stretch here. By the way, I made those nachos at my Super Bowl party. They killed. They were completely gone. Everyone loved them, and I tried them myself. I ate more than any. Well, yeah, I probably did, but not by much. They were good. I'm very proud of myself, especially for just like taking a swing. And I'd say I hit a two-run homer. Yeah, 3-run homer. It wasn't quite a grand slam, but I did hear someone who tends to not eat like a crazy person. I heard them say that it was the best nachos they had ever had. I don't know if they were the best nachos. They might have been. They were pretty good. I'm proud of myself. I think I did a pretty darn good job. Alright, I'm slap happy right now because I'm still kind of sick. Thank you for tuning into the worst ever installment of the James Freel Show. Yeah, I said that one guy was going to come on. He ended up flaking on me. He didn't tell me. He just didn't show up. So, you know, this is going to be the last episode I talk about football for so much. Because football season's over. Time to move on. We got baseball. We got other stuff. What did I talk about before football? I gotta look up sports stuff and stuff. Anyway, that's the podcast. Take care. Have a good weekend. And I'll see you next week.